Good morning, my dear children. Welcome to our online classes and welcome to our social studies. Okay, coming to the last topic, we entered into the second lesson, energy from the sun. And first of all, I told Earth is divided into a different landforms, like we have oceans, continents, plains, plateaus, mountains, and we have scanty rainfall and more rainfall. Scanty means low rainfall. We have a lot of variations in our earth. Similarly, in this topic, we will not learn about the variations in landforms. We will learn about the variations in temperature. Okay, which we cannot see, but we can feel that one. Okay, if you take a day in the morning, the type of temperature is cool, and similarly in the afternoon again the temperature will become hot, and similarly in the night the temperature will become cool. This is a variation in temperature in a day. Similarly, we have in some months we have the hot, in some months we have cool. This is a variation in temperature. If you take any places on the earth, different places have different types of temperatures. For example, if you take the equatorial region, 0 degree latitude is called equator, and I are told what is the equatorial region. In that region we have very hot, but if we go on equator to the north and south pole, the temperature will be decreases. Okay, you have to be know. Temperature and rainfall affect the life in a critical way. The animals and plants depends on heat and water. Some kinds of plants will grow in a hot region, and only some plants will grow in a cool region, but no plants will grow in more cool region like in polar region. Okay, that one also I told. Differences in temperature causes the winds and rains. Coming to the next, we discuss about solar energy and sun's rays. Okay, sun is the source of our energy. Okay, if you think sun is a powerhouse which generates and gives us energy in the form of heat and light. Energy which is constantly emitted from the sun is called solar radiation. When a body gives out energy is called radiation. Okay, you have to be know. The energy produced by the sun comes in the form of sun's rays. Okay, the energy produced by the sun comes in the form of sun's rays. You can see and feel also in the form of light and heat. Not only we are receiving the energy, but also we are receiving the UV rays, X-rays, radio waves from the sun, which we cannot see and which we cannot feel. And we discussed about the greenhouses. Lot of human beings are now using the greenhouses. Okay, the heat is coming into the greenhouses, but does not escape out. In these greenhouses, the people are cultivating the fruits and vegetables. We can grow the paddy, creating a marshy environment. This is about the greenhouses. And we discussed about the insolation. The solar radiation receives their surface is called insolation. Okay, only a small portion of energy which are receiving the earth from the sun, about 1/3 reflecting back to the atmosphere like a mirror. Some of the harmful rays like UV rays does not reach the earth's surface. If it is reach the earth's surface, the life will not exist. Okay, the UV rays are not reaching the earth's surface. That is why our life exists in our planet. Some of the energy is reflected back and received by this dust and clouds which are present in the atmosphere. Up to this we have completed. Coming to the next topic, sun's rays and earth's surface. Sun's rays and earth's surface. The sun's rays and earth's surface. Okay, the rays which are coming from the sun hit the earth's surface uniformly, not continuously. Okay, the rays which are coming from the sun does not heat the earth's surface continuously. This is because curved nature of the earth. Why? Because of a curved nature. Earth's surface. Okay, because of curved nature of the earth's surface, the sun's rays will not fall on the ground continuously. See in the picture, if the same amount of solar energy falls on the earth, then in the equator, sun's rays will fall in a smaller area in the equator and larger area near the poles. That is why we have a lot of heat near the equator region and a lot of cool in the polar region. This is a 0-degree equator. These are the poles. Okay, the sun rays will fall same on the earth surface, but in the equator it falls in a short distance from the sun. But if you can see near the poles, it takes the large distance. That is why we are saying that in the equatorial region we have a lot of heat. If the sun rays falls 90 degrees on the equator, they fall slantingly towards the poles. This is called angle of incidence. Angle of incidence. If the sun's rays falls 90 degrees on the equator, falls slantingly towards the pole, this is called angle of incidence. Very, very important. Okay, you can see the chart in the textbook. What is the chart they given about if the insolation received on the equator 0-degree latitude 100 units. Okay, if the near to the equator, the insolation means solar radiation receives the earth's surface is called insolation. If the insolation on the equator is 100 units, then I told just now in the near to the equator we have a high temperature than the poles. If you take the 45 degrees of northern Japan, what is the units? Receive 45 degrees means here that receives 75 units. Okay, for example, on the equator 100 units insolation takes place. Near the 45 degrees in northern Japan receives 75 units of energy. Similarly, if you take 66 half degree Arctic circle, here only Arctic circle, then it receives only 50 units of energy. If you take the 90 degrees North Pole and South Pole, then it takes only 40 units of energy only. It receives only 40 units of energy. This is the example I told. What I told, sun rays falls on the surface of the earth, but on the equator it came a short distance, short area, while near the poles it has a long area. That is why near the equator we have a lot of temperature than the poles. I told about the angle of incidence. What is meant by angle of incidence? If the sun rays fall 90 degrees on the equator, then they fall slantingly towards the poles. This is called angle of incidence, and we took the example also northern Japan. This is only which located in 45 degrees only receives only how much units? Only 75 units. 66 half degrees Arctic circle receives 60 units, and north and south poles receives only 40 units. Just now we completed that about the angle of incidence. Coming to the next, as I told, equator region has more and more temperature, but even the sunrise falls more and more on the equator region, but after the midday it usually cloudy and less sun rays falls on the ground. That is why we are saying that okay, in the equatorial region it is less hot than the north and south of the equator. Once again I am saying Okay, we have more and more temperature in the equatorial region, but when the sunrise falls on the equatorial region, in the midday it becomes cloudy, and gradually the temperature in the equatorial region decreases. That is why we are saying that in the equatorial region the temperature is less than the north and south of the equator. Okay, the earth goes around the sun. What is called revolution? What is called a revolution? So you have to know the difference between revolution and rotation. Rotation means the earth moves around its own axis. Is called earth rotation. The earth moves around itself. It's called earth rotation. How much time will take by one rotation? 24 hours. Okay. That will come in the third lesson. Actually 24 hours is not. 23 hours, 56 minutes, 4.09 seconds. Okay. And what is by revolution? If the earth rotates around the sun is called revolution. It takes 365 1 by 4 day. 1 by 4, 1 by 4, 1 by 4, 1 by 4. For 4 years, 1 day will be increasing. And for 4 years, 1 day is increasing. In the February month, we can get one more extra day, February 29. That is a revolution. The earth revolution takes place. Then the angle of incidence also changes. Angle of incidence increases in November and December. In where? In north of the equator. In the north. And decreases. Okay, the angle of incidence is changing because of the earth revolution. The angle of incidence increases in the north in November and December and decreases in May and June. May and June. This is about the angle of incidence. What we have discussed, sun rays and earth surface. The rays that reach the ground on the earth surface will not heat continuously due to the curvature of the earth surface. Due to the curvature of the earth surface, amount of solar energy falls a smaller amount on the equator and larger amount in the poles. If you can see, if the sun rays falls in 90 degrees on the equator, then it has more temperature rather than the poles. Here we have short distance, here we have the long distance. The sun rays falls 90 degrees on the equator and slantingly towards the poles. This is called angle of incidence. Sun rays is more in the equatorial region, then it became cool in the midday. A less heat will be present in the ground. That is why equatorial region we have low temperature rather than the equatorial north and equatorial south. And the angle of incidence changes according to the revolution of the earth. Angle of incidence increases in November, December in the north region, and angle of incidence decreases in the month of May and June in the northern part of the earth. To the next, land and water contrasts. The land part and the water part, there will be a great difference in the temperature. Okay, if you take the land part, the land will become heat quickly and also it will become cool quickly. If you take the water part, heat slowly, it will heat slowly and it will become cool slowly. Okay, that is the reason. The temperature difference between the water part and the land part. If you take the different place on the earth, if you take any oceans in the earth, if you want to measure the temperature, then the water part we have the heat, the sunrise falls, it will take the heat very slowly, and again whatever the heat taken by the water, and it After water becoming of the heat, it will become cool very slowly. Come to the land part, it will become heat quickly and cool also very quickly. This is about the difference between land and water. You have to know quickly. Land means you have to identify the land will heat fast and it cools fast. Again, if you take the water part, it will heat slowly and it will be cool slowly. Coming to the next topic, heating of the atmosphere. What do you mean by atmosphere? The air part is called atmosphere. The air part is called atmosphere. We have different types of gases which are present in the atmosphere. What are the gases? We have nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, water vapor, etc. Almost we have 78% of the nitrogen in the atmosphere. They will ask the question, how much percentage of nitrogen present in the atmosphere? 78% of nitrogen present in the atmosphere. If the sun rays falls, you know already the sun rays comes from the atmosphere towards the earth surface, but the atmosphere cannot be heated. The atmosphere passes the sun rays towards the earth surface. After the heating of the earth, the sun rays reflect back to the atmosphere and it will become heat. That is why when we are going from the earth surface to the higher places, the temperature will be decreases. Okay, as the height increases, the temperature decreases. Okay, as the height increases, the temperature decreases. Once again I am saying, when the sun rays comes towards the earth surface, the atmosphere will not take the sun rays. The atmosphere will pass the sun rays towards the earth. After the heating of the earth, the sun rays will be radiated back towards the atmosphere. That is why near the earth surface we are very hot. While you are going higher places, the temperature will be very cool. Okay, that is why in the summer season all are going to the hill upside and all are going towards the northern places like Himachal Pradesh, that will be higher from the sea level. That is why they are going at that state. Okay, coming to the next topic, heat balance. Heat balance. The heat which are coming from the sun towards the earth is reflected back in different ways. You can see the picture. They given the picture about that. How much is radiated back and whatever how much the clouds are taking, etc. They are given in the picture. That portion is reflected back towards the atmosphere. The remaining sun rays will heat the earth surface, which in turn heats the atmosphere. Still heats up the earth surface and also heats up the atmosphere. Eventually it is radiated back into the space. Complete radiation which are coming from the sun is very, very important. Entire heat is not radiated back. We cannot live in our earth because it is too hot to live in our earth. The earth receives less heat than the radiation. It would be a cool in our earth surface. Our earth will not have same in all the places. We have flat surface, we have slopes towards the down, we have valleys, everything. The sun rays will fall same on the earth surface, but there will be a difference in the temperatures on the earth surface, in the flat surface, in the very low slopes. What is the reason? And they given the example of mountain also. If you take the mountain, the two sides of the mountain have the same portion of the sun rays or not. Okay, you have to know the reasons. You have to find out the reason for this. Coming to the next topic, global warming. Global warming. Global warming means increasing of CO2, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is called global warming. Once again I am saying, write down in the notes. Increasing of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is called global warming. Why the carbon dioxide is increasing in the atmosphere? Because we are using the petrol, diesel, and we are doing the deforestation, means cutting the trees, etc. Results the global warming. That is why we have to save our earth by planting the trees. Everyone should plant a tree. Okay, this is about the today class. First of all, what we have discussed, we discussed about the sun rays surface. In that, angle of incidence is important. If the sun rays falls 90 degrees on the equator, then it falls slantingly towards the poles. This angle is called angle of incidence. And I told in the equatorial region we have more temperature, but in the midday it will become cloudy. That is why in the equatorial region we have less temperature than the equatorial north and south region. Angle of incidence increases in the northern part of our Earth's surface in November and December, and it decreases in May and June. Land and water part. Land part, you have to think about the fast heat and fast cool, and water part, late heat and late cool. That is why in the midday the land will, in the afternoon the land will become very heat. That is why all the persons are going towards the beach, towards the water. That will not heat, because it will be heat very slowly. Next, heating of the atmosphere we discussed. Whatever sun rays falls on the earth's surface, the atmosphere will help to pass the sun rays towards the earth. The sun rays heat the surface of the earth and turn into the atmosphere. That is why when we are going the higher places, as the height increases, the temperature will be decreases. That is why they are going to the Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir in the summer season, which there will be a cool at that time, because it located on the highest point than the level of the sea. About the heat balance, I told 1/3 of the portion will be reflected back towards the atmosphere. If it will not reflected, then it will be more and more heat in our Earth's surface that we cannot live. If it is less radiated, it also may be more and more cool. Okay, that is why the heat will maintain the balance. Come to the next, we discussed about if we take the Earth's surface low and high places, the same amount of sunlight falls on the land part or not. You have to discuss about these questions. If you take the mountain peak, is there any same portion of sun rays in the two sides, or will be more in the front side rather than the back side? Okay, you have to find out these answers. This is a worksheet for you. You have to do this. Coming to the next, I told about the global warming. Increasing of CO2 in the atmosphere is called global warming. Diesel, we are using the diesel, petrol, and cutting the forest. Results the global warming. That is why we have to save the earth, save the water, and we have to increase the plantation of the plants. This is it for the today class. Hope you understood very well. Whatever the important points I told, try to underline in the textbook. Okay, thank you.